Good morning, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our event, African Cities Innovating Public Service Delivery, the cases of Kumasi from Ghana and Kigali from Rwanda. My name is Melissa Gorondi-Novak, and I am a Learning and Knowledge Generation Analyst at UNDP. This is the webinar number 19 from our SDG Local Solution Series, a UNDP initiative that wants to showcase how local and regional governments are leading the implementation of the 2030 agenda with specific, concrete local solutions. You can watch our past editions in our YouTube channel and also in our website. I will be sharing very soon the link within the chat. In today's webinar, we are very proud that we are launching the 2 guidelines from the Global Mayors Challenge, an initiative that is supported by UNDP. These guidelines highlight the cases of Kumasi and Kigali, and they offer a step-by-step solutions to help other cities innovate in public service delivery. I will give you some methodological advice. First, we have interpretation into English, French, and Spanish, and you must click on the small word at the bottom right and select your language there. Tenemos interpretación en español. Tienen que hacer clic en el pequeño mundo que está ubicado en el Zoom, abajo a la derecha, y allí seleccionar el idioma. Nous avons des interprétations en français. Veuillez cliquer sur le petit globe en bas à droite puis sélectionner votre langue. Feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself, to send questions, and share your own stories. Through these methodological advices and suggestions, I will introduce our speakers. We are going to count with distinguished panelists. First, Joshua Tenet Norte, who is the project supervisor of Kumasi Global Mayors Challenge, and David Musonera, who is the project supervisor of Kigali Global Mayor Challenge. And finally, our moderator, Asa Johnson, who is the head of the Global Water Operators Partnership Alliance, which is part of the Urban Basic Services section in UN Habitat. Thank you all for joining us. We are looking forward to an inspiring session. Welcome, Asa. The floor is all yours.
Just very briefly, before we really go straight into hearing about the examples from Kumasi and Kigali, probably many of you who are joining online are very well aware of the severe problems we face globally in African cities, but truly in so many different parts of the world when it comes to securing water and sanitation to everyone. And just to flag a couple of statistics, the access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene is, of course, a basic human right, but currently 2.2 billion people cannot count on contamination-free water, so clean water. And as many as 3.5 billion people lack sanitation systems globally that protect them from disease. And of course, ultimately, as mentioned, really the most basic human right and dignity for everybody. So we see poorly maintained toilets, high cost of water supply, inefficient water systems across our cities, both big and smaller. And with the climate challenges upon us, we also see more and more distress related to the need for climate resilient water and sanitation services, which adds an extra dimension to things. Not to mention, and we're focused here today on Africa, the very rapid urbanization that we see in a lot of cities, including in secondary cities, that is just requesting and requiring even more services to everybody to achieve the SDGs. So linking it to local and regional governments, we know that in order to aspire to SDG 11 and to have safe, resilient, and sustainable cities, this cannot be achieved without universal access to water and sanitation services. It's absolutely necessary, yet we are, as mentioned already, very much behind in achieving this SDG. So the need to address it at the local level couldn't be more urgent. And for that, we need strong capacity, which is very much what the Global Water Operator Partnership Alliance works with in strengthening public water and sanitation service providers in cities. And we need partnerships and we need innovation in how we can address these issues. We're going to be hearing today about community participation, the role of digital technology, nature-based solutions, and sustainable financing, just in terms of 4 threads across the examples we're going to hear about. And ultimately, how can local and regional governments, both in Africa, but also globally, innovate and learn from some of these inspiring examples so that we can fast track and move towards the vision of achieving water security for all and access to adequate sanitation. So with that, it's my pleasure. The panelists have already been introduced, but to first welcome Joshua Ninoye Tehenorti, who will be sharing examples from Kumasi. Joshua, the floor is yours to present, and we're looking forward to getting inspired by your experience.
Thank you very much, Madam Moderator. I'm very grateful for this privilege to share our experience in an attempt to find an innovative financial solution for provision of sanitation as well as job creation in the city of Kumasi, specifically a suburb of the city called Moshizongo. My name is Joshua Ninoye Tehenorti, and I'm very happy that all attempt is being made to get my name right. It's all part of the business, and thanks so much. So, like I said, the project we are working so hard to work on and possibly make it sustainable is how to get innovative financing for sanitation and job creation. And the city has developed a sustainable financial scheme by disbursing low interest rate loans to residents, that's low income residents, and try to train the young ones in the community with employable skills when it comes to locally designed private toilets that the households can use. But why are we paying attention to sanitation? The reason why we are paying attention to sanitation is that there's a suburb that we are currently trying to help them called Moshizongo, which is made up of over 22,000 inhabitants. Out of the 725 households, we have about 510 of them who do not have access to household toilets, so they have to use the poorly managed public toilet. And it's a young community because we have almost half of the population being between the age of 15 to 24. And they are confronted with this situation. About 83% of these residents do not have access to household toilets. So like we can see in the picture, unfortunately, poorly managed public latrines in the community. And the pathetic aspect of it is that especially the girl child, when they happen to go to school and they have to use the wash facility, which is the public managed one, you can see in the picture that they have to strip themselves so that they will not get the scent in their school uniform. So the city saw it as a dire need to find a way to solve this problem. Hence came up with this objective to facilitate access of residents to interest-free loans for construction of household toilets and to empower the unemployed youth with skills to build locally designed toilets and to increase low-income residents' access to hygienic toilet facility in Moshizongo. And this project, when implemented, is going to contribute a lot to the achievement of SDG 6 and 8. For the 6, clean water and sanitation, the target was that by the end of 2025, we should be able to construct about 440 private toilets to the community in which we currently find ourselves in, which is the Mojizongo community, and create gainful employment for about 120 young men and women in the community. What approach did the city of Kumasi adopt to be able to achieve the three objectives that are outlined at the beginning of the presentation? First was to set up a revolving fund. So with this revolving fund, the money will be dispersed to the low income or poor residents who do not have private toilets. Then they will have to repay, and when they pay back, we reinvest it again. So we have setting up of the revolving fund. Then, in order to ensure that this fund stays with the community but is not taken out of the community, the project decided to train the youth in the construction of environmentally friendly biodigester household toilets for these households. So the process is a landlord who is interested will have to subscribe with the project office, which is located in the community. Then the project office, under the leadership of the project engineer, will go and assess the site and see whether it's feasible for us to construct. When the site engineer or the quality assurance engineer conducts the site inspection, he gets back to the project supervisor, who then prepares bills based on the material that will be required and the cost of the artisans that will do that. Then we submit it to the bank, and the communication officer, that's our marketing officer, will now direct the landlord to the bank. He goes to the bank, gets registered. Immediately it's registered with the bank. The material that is needed for the construction will be supplied to the site. Then the project office will contact an artisans and give the particulars and the location of this said landlord. Then the artisans will go to the landlord's house to construct. Upon completion, the bank is informed that the facility has been completed. Then the bank is made aware that repayment must start, and the bank will follow up with the repayment. And this repayment is what is going to be reinvested so that those who don't have will be able to have, and by so doing, will be able to scale up these projects. What are the achievements? Out of the 440 that we set ourselves to construct before the close of 2025, we'll be able to have subscription for 70 cubicles. That's so far about 307 cubicles of toilets have been subscribed. And this is serving about 4,451 individuals in the community of Mojizongo. Before this project, they had 17% of the residents who have access to private toilets. But with the help of this project, we've increased it to 42% of residents having access to household toilets. And we can see a family that hitherto do not have household toilets, hence have to use the public toilet facility, but currently do have their own wash facility, 2 toilets, 2 bar. And if you can see the woman, she's very happy that now they have a dignified facility that will bring dignity to them. So far, the project set itself to train 120 youth in the construction of the facility, but we have been able to train 50 of them. Getting to the tail end, we'll see the reason why we'll be able to train only 50 of them. But so far, we'll be able to engage about 105 artisans and gainfully employ them, and they are making their ends meet from this project. Another achievement that we've talked as a success is the enhanced loans recovery. So far, we've advanced loans to, or the bank has advanced loans to 144 landlords. We have had 10 of them that have finished paying us 100% payment. When it comes to more than 50% payment, we have 54 landlords. Then when it comes to less than 50% payment, we have 48 landlords. So far, our repayment rate, as at April, was oscillating between 80 to 90, but as we sit, it's between 60 to 70. And what are some of the key takeaways from the implementation of these projects that we like to share with everyone who also do have the interest in coming up with a sustainable financing in low-income communities. One, in any project that you implement in a low-income community, which involves revolving fund, the project must be adaptive in its design and flexibility. For example, we plan training about 120 youth, but it got to some point in time, we saw that they are not interested in getting skills, but rather they are interested in getting quick money. So we have to now open up to other artisans that are coming from outside the community. Then also in the course of the implementation of the project, we observed that the city was fast depreciating against the dollar. So the cost of material was very expensive, and we have to translate it to the landlords, and it affected our demands. Hence, we have to introduce some subsidy component of it. Yes, that subsidy was also covered by some exchange rate gains that we made because the dollar was by then going up. Continuous stakeholder engagement is very important. The reason being that for such projects to be bought by low-income communities, you have to win their trust. And to win their trust means that consistently you have to follow up. So we have the community champions that are coming from the community that have been leading the marketing so that they can easily relate and associate with. Beside that one too, we have employed various forms of communication methods and strategies in the community. For example, we have banners, we have t-shirts, all these things just to make sure that the community gets aware of the project that we are implementing. Then also, like our projects, in order for them to buy, there's one that they are using, which is the public toilet. And here we are giving them an alternative. So there's the need to communicate the value proposition, help them to appreciate what they stand to gain for subscribing to our facility compared to if they should still use the old facility, that's the public toilet, which is fetching them, costing them a lot compared to our own. Our own is just one-time investment, which after that, you don't have to pay every day. But with respect to the old system, is something that you have to pay every day. And the larger your family, the more expensive it becomes to you. The integrating traditional conflict resolutions. In such communities that are close-knit, you need the community leaders to play a key role when it comes to the implementation. The reason being that there will be conflict, there will be misunderstandings. But if the community leaders should come in, it goes a long way to smoothing things and also solve those petty issues and misunderstandings that exist in such communities. Then comprehensive monitoring and evaluation. It's very important that you have a team that constantly monitors whatever is being implemented. Unfortunately for us, we have a steering committee from the assembly that do pay us a visit, working visit, to assess what we are doing. Then we also have the community leaders who are so much interested in the implementation. Hence, they go for inspection during handing over to the joiners to go on that exercise. Then what are some of the challenges that we were confronted with during the implementation of this project? The first one was delay in the establishment of the revolving fund. I would say it took us over 18 months to set up the revolving fund because it was one of its kind as to who is going to disburse it, how is the person going to collect the repayments, and what mechanisms needs to be put in place so that such person will be compelled not just to give out, but to be willing to do that. So give or take, drag forward, push and pull. It took us almost 18 months. But after it was successfully set up, we've been able to catch up with the number of toilets that we are supposed to provide. Then we were supposed to train 120 youth in toilet construction skills or wash facility construction skills. We were able to train only 50. Why? We observed that the youth are not interested in acquiring skills. Rather, they are interested in making quick money, schemes that will just fetch them money overnight. Hence, when you are, conscientizing them and helping them to get on board so that they benefit from the results of the project, we observe that that's not their interest. Rather, they are looking out for quick scheme ways to make money. Now, sustainability of the project. currently we have our money in dollars. Very soon it will be in cedis. And when we have our money in cedi and the cedi is depreciating against the dollar, it's going to affect the cost of construction material. So when it happens that way, the quantum of money that we have, if we can produce 440 toilets, after that first batch of construction, what is likely to happen is that the second batch, although we'll be able to do recollection to 90%, we may not be able to produce 440 toilets anymore. The reason being that we may have defaulters. Secondly, the depreciation of our currency against the dollar is also going to affect the cost of building material. Hence, the quantum of money that will be left to invest will dwindle a bit. So finding alternative ways that the amount can be replenished is another challenge that we foresee going forward as far as this project is concerned. So to this far, these are the approaches, the key lessons, the achievement and the challenges that the Kumasi team have experienced in an attempt to create a sustainable financing when it comes to the provision of social services like household toilets. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, and really congratulations first of all for for undertaking this initiative. In the introduction framework, we were talking about the dignity, the need of toilets in communities, and I think your pictures speak for themselves in this effort. And I think very commendable also this dual addressing of SDG 8 of skills for young people. We see a number of questions. I think you may have answered it partly, but I think a lot of interest in how do you encourage young people to work in this area of constructing toilets? I mean, I guess for many young people, that wouldn't be the first thing that comes to mind, even though they want and need the toilet. So I think there's some questions around that. There's also a question about what strategies ensure the loan repayment rate. Maybe you could address that a little bit more. And I think in my case, I'm maybe just one short question as well. In terms of the sustainability, what is the maintenance plans for these toilets? How does that work? And maybe a little bit around the wastewater and sort of around the circular economy of this initiative. Maybe just very briefly, because I know we don't have so much time. Yeah, thanks very much.
When it comes to the youth, what can we do to ensure that we get them on board? Yes, I think continuous awareness raising, and also, once again, value proposition will help them to come back to their senses and see the need to accept this trade. The reason being that it will prepare them for life compared to the quick scheme that they want to fall on. So we don't have to give up, but we have to consistently follow up on that. And also maybe as time goes on, we have to see how we can readjust our prices to reflect the current situation. As it stands now, our price is the most competitive when it comes to others who are also in the industry doing that. For example, a single cubicle, we are paying $1,350, which is equivalent to about $100. Our competitors are paying less than $100. Some are paying $90, some are paying $80. So it's another. Then what did we do to get 100% payment from 10 of the landlords? The bank intensified the efforts to recollect. And fortunately for us, these are noble, poor households in the community. So they yielded to the pressure from the bank, and that's what has resulted for that. Yes, we have some who are lagging far behind. We are using the community leaders to make sure that first we are using social pressure before we come to the legal pressure. So the social pressure, we are using the community leaders to call those individuals to book so that they repay. So when that option is exhausted and still they are not yielding, then we'll use the legal means where we bring in the law enforcement agencies to make sure that they repay. Then sustainability of the facility. The sustainability is in relation to, it lies with the landlords who championed it. But when it comes to the wastewater and the rest, the fecal sludge, we have some FICA large management processing companies around, like Safisana and others who are experimenting the possibility of using the FICA large in the production of organic manure to serve as a fertilizer for planting. So that is in the process, which we are looking at. And when it comes to the wastewater, we normally use the sockaway, create layers of filtration that the effluent discharge into it, so it doesn't discharge into the open environment, and it then gets only the efficacious sludge left, which we are trying to partner some efficacious sludge management companies that will come in to help us with the processing.
Thanks very much. And you know, I think there's several other questions. I think this is a little bit of a cliffhanger. People will need to learn more from your story. We will have a chance in the end for a little bit of more question and answer as well. But Joshua, just before we move on to the next speaker, if you were to give just one short piece of reflection or advice to any other local government entity that were to kick this off, what would be your sort of inspiring words?
Yeah, it's worth investing your time and your resources in helping the low-income communities, because such individuals are deprived for quite some time. And after you've assisted them to have their social amenities, the joy that irradiates from their faces and their hearts as they welcome it is worth investing your time. But the catchword is that always try to co-design the solutions with them. We shouldn't try to dump our ideas on them. It will backfire. But we should always try to co-design the solutions with them. When it happens that way, there's local ownership of the strategies and the activities contained in the implementation.
Great. Thanks a lot for sharing your insights and advice. And we will come back to you, but now we're going to go to Kigali. And we are also pleased to have David Musonera here. You were also already introduced, of course, but now we're going to hear of your experience. So the floor is yours, David.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, moderator. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever, to everyone. Thank you for allowing me be part of this webinar. It's really glad for that. I'm super excited to take you through what Kigali has experienced, what you have done, and really give you some updates about what you have done and what you have achieved. Similarly, this is a project that really looks to be the same like that of Kumasi, what has been presented. Really, it's very nice, Joshua. Congratulations for what you have done. It's very wonderful work, as we have done in Kigali also. All these two projects looking to see how they can improve lives in the low-income communities and informal settlements. You know, so it's really very important to implement such projects in these neighborhoods. Maybe to start with, allow me to start with my project. My project is, Kigali Global Mayors Project. I can say that this project, particularly for Kigali, had two components. That I can say that rainwater harvesting project, where we were trying to provide affordable water source, which is alternative to the municipal water. And also we provide smart solid waste collection services. For the first part, which is rainwater harvesting, we are looking about how to construct the reservoirs, which is underground, and also provide an elevated tank, which could enable us to distribute water into the households directly. So that this problem of water scarcity and water usage and consumption, they could be really lessen to the burden of the people that they were really facing. Secondly, the smart solid waste. It's providing the solid waste stations where people could collect and dump their waste from the households. But most of that, we provided the bins per station, which were helping us to segregate the waste. And also to avoid this tendency of delays by the transporters, each bin was fixed with level sensors, which could inform the waste collectors to come and collect the waste timely. For the scope of the project, as you can see on your right, these are some of the people in the informal settlements. As I told you, these are projects that was implemented in settlements that were formerly informal settlements, which means there are people who were low-income people. They were struggling with different activities, getting water and poor sanitation, everything like that. So the government, with its vision, the vision of the city, they try to see that these people have to be improved with decent housing. So the city had to rehouse them, do a housing project where we had the slum areas. We have now the decent housing where we have some kind of apartments. So imagine people getting this kind of people and rehousing them into decent housing. The changes, the behaviors, really, they are very difficult to cope up with. So with the flush toilets, cleaning the houses, all the consumptions that water increases. The water consumption increases, and this becomes more difficult and burden to these people. So this is the cause. With the two sides of the project, I mean Busanza sites and Mpazi sites, all these are the two sites that we implemented this project. So as you can see here, for concerns of waste management, this serves about more than 1,000 households. And for harvesting, rainwater harvesting, we managed to serve about 322 households. It's not all the neighborhood that was served. This was due to the budget, but the government and city of Kigali, this works like a pilot. And I think they are planning to scale up this project. So more on the problem, how it was concerning the smart waste management. With this improved housing and the settlement project or settlement neighborhoods, people lacked insufficient infrastructure, as you can see on the statistics. People never had where to collect their waste. You could find people just littering everywhere, putting sacks in front of the households. And by that, you could find the fly nuisance, and you find the bad odors. You find people really are suffering some of the environmental hazards. And when you look at the affordability, you could find people really who were managing to pay the collection fees were not even more than 50%, which means the transporters could just leave their waste littering around the neighborhoods and causing most of the environmental hazards. But with that, we said as the city and the team and said, let's see the solution. The solution just mainly looked at putting in place the waste stations as the common collection points in the neighborhood, and also try to change the behaviors of the residents. This was through trainings, and also they apply the level sensors, which could inform the collectors, waste collectors, to come and collect the waste timely, so that when they they avoid the overflows of the waste. As you can see below on the images, you see the finished, the completed station. Each station is having three bins for separating. We have the green one, which is for organic, the blue one, which is for inorganic, and also the middle one, that small one, which is for electronic waste. All this was constructed, and after people are trained, and also the dashboards for the sensors started working. So now we're about people are practicing, and we have seen segregation, we have seen dashboards working, people segregating inside their households. So all that for the waste, we have seen some benefits and impacts by getting some surveys from the community, from local leaders, and really people appreciating everything. As you can see, that it's benefiting and impacting both the city and the residents, who have improved the cleanliness and hygiene. You can see there, you see the whole neighborhood has very good sanitation and improved sanitation. The hygiene really is very okay. With the stations and facilities, it's not for long distances. It's an appropriate distance at where people can walk and really dump their waste and dispose their waste during evening time or even morning time. Even when you see the environment is very convenient and healthier. When you come to rainwater harvesting system, this really, the problem was concerning about the two factors, which is accessibility and affordability. Previously, in these neighborhoods, after the resettlement and people are put in these decent houses, people are facing a lot of problems where the municipal water couldn't be able to be accessed by these people for an average of 3 weeks, even more than that. And when even they access it, when it comes and it's provided and supplied, you could find most of the people can't be able to pay the bills. This would be burden them, and because these are the people who used to stay in the informal settlements, the slums, where they just fetch water in the wetlands and some other drainages. But now they are trained to fetch it from the municipal water. So with no job and low income, they could be really very burdened to pay this bill. And sometimes you could find people really coming to disconnect their taps, and they fail to really use this water, and find they are moving long distances to very far away. With the result of that, you could find 6% of residents forego essential hygiene practices. You find someone could bathe, instead of bathing or showering 2 times a day, instead is going to shower once in 3 days.
Just to remind you, David, you have about 2-3 minutes to wrap up, just as moderator.
Thank you so much. I think I have to wait. So these are some of the facilities for water, concerning water, that you see the toilets and the tank. And as you can see here, the water, people have been supplied with water, and 70% have been appreciating and getting sufficient water for flushing toilets and using for other purposes. And 44% have been reduced on the water bills. So the benefits, as you can see here, I can't repeat that. I said the bills have been reduced, and also when you go to challenges, we got some challenges in designing, price inflations, and low bid returns. but all that, it's the lesson we can learn generally is to participate maximally with the beneficiaries. The designs were done without involving the beneficiaries, but later on we involved them and we got what is really very important for them. For sustainability part of that, we have the team, both from the village leaders, community maintenance committee, and also the block leaders. All these have the roles that they are going to play, and so that they can oversee everything that will be concerned with the sustainability of these facilities. Yes, last, I can't forget to tell you the good stories about the project. With this project, I think it wasn't planned, but out of it, it came. So one is that we already started scaling up this project into other neighborhoods. There are some neighborhoods that the city are implementing, and already we're in touch with them, and they are already integrated into this. And second, people have initiated the small-scale compost facilities business to utilize these organic wastes. Thirdly, people, as you can see in the picture here, these are people who are really confessing that they have got job and they have improved their lives, they have improved their skills. So this all is what we are appreciating and what really came out of the project. Let me not take much of your time. Thank you so much. I think most of it is through the questions and
No, thank you very much. And thank you very much, David. And congratulations also to you. We have a lot of questions coming in, which shows that the audience is really engaging with what you're presenting. As moderator, I'm just going to ask you first, I'll pick one question from the chat and one question from me, as we did for the first speaker. So, David, if you can share a little bit about how scalable you think this rainwater harvesting model is for other housing projects in Kigali. Is this something you see can be upscaled in the country? And also, as I asked the former speaker, what would be your advice in general for anyone, any other local government thinking to take up this practice? If you could briefly just respond on that, and then we will open up for the next 10 minutes for other questions. Over to you. And you're on mute.
Yes, I was saying that thank you so much for that question. It's really very important. Yes, it's a bit tricky, but it's scalable. We have tried that and it's already being implemented in some of the housing projects here. The problem comes about the budget and how huge the project is and the volume of the underground tanks. But generally, what is needed in most of these neighborhoods that are being constructed for low-income people, we have rain here, we have mechanisms how to collect the water, and so it's up to people to adjust on the budget. If it's not on the underground tank, people can also have on surface tanks to reduce on the budget. So this is very much scalable, and I encourage everyone, most especially for these countries which are on the equatorial environment. For the second question, as I said, is that we see this as a small project, but the community really, they see it as a big project for them because it impacts them. Some of the cities and countries really, they see that this is a very small that can have small impact to the people, but people, how they appreciate it, it's really makes a lot of impact to them. So the cities, I can say that however small it is, it has a big impact to people.
Thank you.
I encourage them to implement that in most of the low-income people.
Thank you. Thank you very much, David. And I think instead of sort of asking for even more questions, because we haven't had a chance for you to answer already the questions that are in chat. I'm going to pick two questions that are actually for both of you. So maybe Joshua could start and then you, David. The first one is, how do you in your initiatives presented plan to monitor the long-term impact on public health or employment or whatever it relates with? How are you going to be monitoring the impact of this? And second question is, because both of you, the community participation component is very central to these initiatives. If you could elaborate a little bit how the community participation shaped the success of the project, and perhaps if there was any time where you changed a bit the design of what you had planned based on the community feedback. So just a little bit more on that. Maybe we start with you, Joshua, on those two questions, and then we'll go to David. Yeah.
Starting from where you ended, as the community participation, I think when it comes to one, the amount of repayment, the interest of repayment, it was the community that helped us to co-design it. That if you should go beyond the 10%, it's very difficult for them to repay because already they are struggling. That's why they are not able to construct such a facility on their own. Then two, they also help us to appreciate that often when it comes to project implementation, the implementers find themselves somewhere else and the project is also implemented at somewhere else. So there's no integration. So for the project to be successful, the project office must be set up within the community, so that anytime at all they have any issue, they need for clarification, they can easily just walk in and sort for that clarification. And also, the project initially was intended to provide only toilet facilities. Only toilet facilities. But when we started the construction, they drew our attention that how can you give us such a beautiful edifice for us to use as a toilet, but where we are bathing, still people could see through. So we are trying to solve a dignity issue, but where we are bathing to, we have issues with our dignity. So why don't you modify the design so that those who want may have both the toilet and the washroom, that's the bathroom, so that it will be a complete wash, water and sanitation and hygiene facility. So we got that feedback from them and we have to modify it. Then the fourth one too is with respect to when the price of the facility shot up due to the depreciation of our currency vis-a-vis the dollar. So they go back to us that they are willing to subscribe to the initial budget cost that we give them. But if it's going further up, not taking into consideration their current situation as low income, then in effect, we are trying to say that we are not there to help them, but we are there to make money and just leave the community. So these are some of the areas that they came in. And especially, you really need the community involvement. The reason being that as the construction unfolds, sometimes there are conflicts that the project office are not able to solve. But when you bring the community leaders into the picture, they are able to get things solved. We are able to get our way to do our construction and make progress. So that's for the community participation bit. And the impact on public health and employment. So with respect to the employment, those that we are currently engaging, from time to time, we do conduct assessment to see how they are using their resources that they are gaining from the implementation of the project. And by so doing, we are able to get some feedback from them. And the public health is what we are supposed to visit the clinic, the community clinic, and take records as to before and after the implementation of the project, water and sanitation related diseases before the implementation, and currently that now we are implementing such intervention, what has been. But as we sit, the donor has sponsored monitoring and evaluation exercise that is currently ongoing. We started last Monday. We are being on the field. Today, even we were on the field before joining you here, when we're about to start the meeting where with the team, the enumerators that are gathering the data for the assessments or evaluation of the impact of the project. After the donor is gone, the assembly will also take it upon itself, as the municipality will take it upon itself as its responsibility from time to time to monitor how the employment created is positively or negatively affecting the youth, and how the intervention is also translating on public health.
No, thanks very much. And maybe, David, let's just hear them from your example on waste management and water harvesting. And maybe just to remind you the questions. One is, what is being done or what is in the plans for monitoring the long-term impact of this initiative, including on public health or other indicators in your case? And this question around how did the community participation actually shape this project, and if there was any redirection at any point based on the co-creation and consultation with the community?
Okay, thank you so much for these questions. Concerning for the first question, monitoring and environmental health for the community, maybe I can talk on behalf of the city, because we had long discussions with the city together with the mayor and the team. We are asking ourselves about that question particularly. So the team, the city, what is planning to do, it has already set up what we call the governance structure for this. First, it starts with the community. They have a team which could monitor on a daily basis or weekly basis. And also the city together with they have different housing projects, different settlements for low-income people. So they have already set up a team which is concerned with the maintenance and monitoring. So this team at the city level has to work with the team at the village level, which means there'll be interchange the communication, seeing how the defects, how people really are using these facilities. So we are sure that this is going to be implemented as we discussed and agreed with the city, because the teams already are working, and also inside the department of the city, they have the focal persons to follow up these teams and coordinate. So this is how they are going to follow up the impact. If the project and the facilities be working well and defects are being rectified on time, I think the impact will be continuous. So this is how the plan is. And also when I go to participation, for us as a project team, at first I think we missed something. Though we involved the people with awareness and mobilization to understand how the project is, but there's some stage where we missed them and we didn't involve them. This is the designing stage. And after that, seeing that, like for example, designing with the stations, waste stations, people came and said, please, we are not always here. We always send people and some people are short. And for us, we are just building a very long, waste stations where people cannot manage to dump. So please, you have to adjust and reduce this height. Mm-hmm. So we had to repeat the whole design for that.
Very practical feedback. Yeah.
These are the views from the people and opinions. So we had to hear from them, and from then we had to make continuous meetings with them and see the feedback from them. That's how we work with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's very concrete examples, and I think inspiring for all of us in terms of how important it is to really hear from the community and not to overlook things that they know best in terms of how we design these kind of urban basic services solutions. So it's my task as moderator to wrap up, and I want to start by just congratulating both of you. Of course, also the whole SDG Local Solutions Initiative for highlighting these practices together today. It's a short session, so we've only been able to get like the highlights and drill down a little bit more from you. I think from just moderating this session, it's really rewarding how many different aspects are covered in your examples. I think what I take away is the sort of integrated ways that you've been thinking through these examples, whether it's with the innovative financing component, the employment generation, inspiring young people to work in these areas, to really looking at the community participation, to looking at the circular economy aspects, the waste to water. So I think so many different components in a very integrated way, and I would really like to congratulate you on that. From where I sit in UN Habitat, we're very interested in these examples as well. Of course, we work in cities. Adequate housing and urban basic services are central to our strategic plan. And I just want to take this opportunity to mention to you, and I will share in the chat, that JWOPA is having a congress in Bonn in the end of October with water and sanitation utilities. And I think these kind of innovations, we didn't touch so much on the role of public utilities per se, but very interested in hearing these examples, and we'd be happy to share that. But from my side, thank you very much. I hope that we can scale up and share these innovations and inspire other local and regional governments through this session. And over to you, Melissa. Thank you.